What's up, boys and girls? Today we're going to be talking about Logan Paul, the most hated man on the entire internet, other than maybe like Mr. Beast or something, or Ava Chris Tyson. I don't know, something like that. Either way, he's got holes in his brains. The internet hates him. He's a massive scammer. He's suing CoffeeZilla and not looking very good in the process. Also being investigated, as far as I know, for very not good things. I've heard a lot about this situation already, and we're going to be watching Mr. More Pegasus in his video on Logan so we can get a good prime look right into the soul of the situation involving Logan Paul. You know, the other person I haven't heard about in a while is KSI. I wonder how he's doing. I noticed a lot of channels were doing this thing where they were milking the breasticle and they were milking Logan Paul and KSI when they were all working together on Lunchly. And I haven't really heard anything about them in a while, other than Mr. Beast getting sued by Mexico. So we're going to be talking in today's video about a huge topic about something to do with the scam in CoffeeZilla, I think. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't watched the video yet, but we're going to find out together, all right? So let's get into this and see what this crazy, scammy man has done now.
Logan Paul is now being investigated by the FBI.
Okay, I was wrong. I must have misheard. I saw this on Twitter somewhere, and I thought it was the SEC. It's the FBI. Okay. I was wrong. My bad.
Turns out he's been trying to pretend that he doesn't know what's going on, and his lawyer is...
Bro, can I just say that Logan Paul's hair looks like he's wearing ramen noodles on his head? Am I like the only person that thinks that if I cut all his hair off and boiled it in water and added some chicken seasoning, it would be like those instant chicken ramen packets, except probably with a lot more dandruff and a lot more gross? Okay, I'm gonna let the video play now.
Coming up with possibly the worst arguments humanly possible and kind of tanking his case for him. Apparently, CoffeeZilla is also friendly with the government, and the SEC is thanking him for reporting these people. Now,
oh wait, it was the SEC. That's what I saw. I saw that. That's what I saw. I saw something with the SEC. Okay, so there's more to this than I understood. So the FBI is involved. The SEC has gotten reports from CoffeeZilla, and they're investigating him. Logan is screwed. He is cooked. He needs to put himself on the stove. Oh wait, I guess he's already on the stove. Boil that ramen noodle hair for 3 minutes and call it done, because he is cooked. Okay, enough of that. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, show me more.
Quick recap for people who don't follow the story. A while back, CoffeeZilla exposed Logan Paul for his crypto scams with a very popular YouTube series. And Logan Paul...
Bro, just imagine finding yourself on the end of a CoffeeZilla video. Man, that must be the worst day of your entire life. To just realize that you're the target of a CoffeeZilla video, CoffeeZilla video, because you scammed your audience or a bunch of people out of a bunch of money. Whew! Oh my god, what the hell's up with that face on coffee? Oh my god. Okay, let's go.
Paul did the logical thing and, you know, instead of just paying back the victims from CryptoZoo, the people that he actually scammed, he decided to sue CoffeeZilla for defamation, insisting that he is not a scammer. Okay, so since then, Logan Paul's scummy text messages also got leaked, basically showing that he was not suing CoffeeZilla because he thought he was defamed, but actually because he's a self-proclaimed petty billionaire who just wanted to ruin his life.
Bro, are you serious right now? We knew you weren't defamed because we knew that all of the things CoffeeZilla said was probably going to be provable in court. So we kind of figured it was something like this. But like a petty billionaire, I need to know the context. It sounds like the context is this, if I'm being honest. We'll see if there's anything else here that I'm not understanding. But from what it sounds like, I mean, yeah, we've always known Logan was a petty billionaire. Also, really weird thing I just want to throw out there. This is totally off topic. So a couple of days ago, I had a nightmare, right? And it was a really weird nightmare. So, like, I had a dream, and I don't quite remember all of what happened, but I do remember that Logan Paul scammed me out of $10 million in my dream. And now I think because Logan Paul scammed me in that dream, that he should give me $10 million to make up for the dream scam. There was also something to do with, like, an airplane and stuff. I don't remember. I think my wife was in it and some others. I don't really remember. All I know is that he scammed me, and I was very upset, even though I don't have $10 million in real life. So, I mean, obviously, he couldn't have possibly done it IRL. But I think that Logan, when I go to sleep tonight, I'm going to have to take him to Dream Court, and I'm going to have to sue him for that. And I'm gonna have to try to recoup my $10 million that he stole from me in my dream. Anyway, let's get back to this now. Just wanted to give Dream Logan Paul a warning that I was going to be filing charges.
Paul also admitted that he's suing him just to make his life difficult. And he says Zilla will pay one way or another.
Isn't that the point of, like, most lawsuits, though, just to make life difficult for the poor guy in the situation? Like, isn't that what companies and people do all the time? Just try to bring lawyers into this so that they can try to make the other person spend a ton of money. They don't actually care if they win. I mean, obviously it's scummy tactics, but it's not that out there.
Make sure of it. Bro, you're a billionaire. Paul responds with a petty billionaire.
Bro, wait, but for real though, is Logan actually a billionaire, or does he just say he's a billionaire? Has anybody seen, like, actual proof? Like, I know I've seen the Prime trucks out there on the road and stuff, and he's got all these business things, but, like, is he actually a billionaire? Like, am I gonna end up seeing this guy on, like, the Forbes fucking billionaire list at some point or something like that? Because if so, that makes me feel like a complete and total failure if this asshat with literal holes in his brain can actually become a billionaire and I'm not a billionaire. That would make me feel very bad. I would have to ask Elon Musk if maybe he could help me out on becoming the billionaire part of things so that maybe at least I could feel a little less bad about Logan being a billionaire. I mean, if I was a billionaire, I might make it my entire agenda to try to make Logan not a billionaire, so I wouldn't have to deal with being on the same list as him. But also because, you know, it just doesn't feel good knowing that this guy is actually a billionaire. It just really bothers me that that's possibly a real thing. I feel like he just doesn't deserve it. I mean, this is the guy that filmed a body in a Japanese forest and tased a dead rat and scammed his audience out of tons of money. I don't know. At some point, I have to question why we make certain people famous and why we give them so much money. It just doesn't make sense to me. Any of you watching this video should be a billionaire before Logan Paul. Just remember that. You're better than this guy.
I wonder how the jury is going to react to that one.
Paul says, I want people who wronged me to suffer while I continue getting wins on their grave.
Ooh, no way Logan is using the word grave after the Japan forest incident. And
this is the forest incident I was just referencing earlier. Also, Logan saying he wants to dance on people's graves is pretty crazy when you think about the fact. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to say that. That'll get me banned on YouTube. Let's just move on.
that brings us to today. Logan Paul filed a motion of confidentiality trying to hide some sort of information that was very humiliating and embarrassing for him. But unfortunately for him, that information has actually come to light now. Shout out.
Did you guys know that Logan is a self-admitted sociopath? Just thought I'd throw that out there.
To YouTuber Legal Bites for this video, and let's just go over the whole story. Alrighty, subscribe or your kids have to eat Lunchly for the rest of their lives. And
my kids will never, ever go anywhere near a Lunchly. Don't you threaten me with that, Pegasus. I will find you and make you eat a Lunchly.
let's begin with this video of Logan panicking about worse evidence getting out.
This information, Paul says, should remain confidential because it's too harmful and embarrassing to Paul. So in other words, forget about those scummy texts that we just saw. If you thought those made him look bad, it sounds like Logan Paul is way more worried about this information. He might end up being the one responsible for making this evidence public in the first place.
Yeah, Logan Paul just doesn't understand the Streisand effect. You cannot silence people like this. You can't silence a story like this. And you can't try to hide this information because it's always going to come back to bite you. Especially when you are the one who tried to sue someone here. Obviously, all of your scummy bullshit is going to come out in discovery because that's just part of the legal process.
Bro, why does Logan, every time I see him, look closer and closer to the Meat Canyon representation of Logan Paul? I don't know if you guys have seen the Meat Canyon version of Logan Paul, but it's becoming more accurate every day.
And he kind of screwed himself the second he tried to file this motion for confidentiality.
And so we really wouldn't have known that there was anything in here that Paul is really afraid of getting out. That is, until Logan Paul filed his motion to preserve confidentiality.
I think her lashes were messing up there for a second. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out. It distracted me.
Designations.
So it turns out the thing that's worse than the scummy text messages is that he's being investigated by the FBI and the SEC. And you know you're kind of cooked when the three-letter organizations are...
Bro, more Pegasus is always on it with the SpongeBob memes. I gotta say, I love them. I love the SpongeBob memes. I saw a video where Tectone was talking about how more Pegasus if you get him on the phone, he'll just sit there and rant about how great SpongeBob is and that he's not beating the autistic SpongeBob kid allegations. And I'm all here for it. Keep up the SpongeBob memes, Pegasus. You're doing God's work.
Starting to investigate you.
Now we know that the evidence he desperately tried to keep secret was in fact a number of federal investigations by the SEC and FBI into the whole CryptoZoo team, including Logan Paul.
You told me I couldn't say anything because Eddie was being investigated by the FBI and that was confidential information. It's all over the internet. I've been let on for a year, bro. I've also asked you to audit the contract for the game and see where the money went so many times, and that never happened either. Do you see how this looks?
I see how it looks.
What did you do?
Bro, is he
Tried to
just
help to get the project done.
is he just yelling at like one of these developer people or whatever, or manager? I don't know who the hell he's yelling at, but is he just yelling at one of his employees over something that he orchestrated that turned out to be a scam? Is he actually trying to blame this on some random dev? Bro, he can't be serious right now, right? Dude, what a massive piece of shit.
That's all I did.
I think there's a piece of information being left out.
Yeah, I wonder who would leave out information here. This is hilarious. Logan having to pretend like he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, guys, it's actually my team that did all the bad stuff. Everything that was remotely scummy or illegal or anything that involved a scam was just my team, guys.
Does Logan have a black eye here? The fuck is wrong with his eye? Look, guys. Right here. Got something weird going on with this eye. Maybe he got punched in the face too many times. I don't know. You know, you would think that a guy with holes in his brains wouldn't get into boxing as, like, a choice, like, to do. Considering he's already got, like, brain damage. Why would you want to further the existing brain damage? What is all the billions of dollars going to do for you if you end up a vegetable? And I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. He really should, like, take care of himself out in these streets with all the people he scammed. He really should try to look over his shoulder. Because there's a good chance that some of these people, if they ever see him in the streets, they might give him a few more than, or a little bit more than just a black eye. He might end up with serious damage. And that's not me saying for me or anything like that. Or nobody should do that to him, obviously. But he really should watch his back, because there are crazy people out there, and when you steal a ton of money, like some of these people had like their life savings invested in this for some reason. I don't know why you would be dumb enough to do that, and if you did that, you're a fucking idiot. But some of these people really did, dude. They believed in you. I don't know why they would, but they believed in you. And there is a strong possibility, bro, that if they see you out in these streets, you might catch hands, or worse. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, you should have given back all the money, and you should really drop this lawsuit, because you look like a fucking idiot. And you should probably let the FBI and SEC do whatever they're going to do, because there is no way that all of this could be worth it. All of this could not be worth the money that you scammed from your audience, especially if you're making all this money off Prime and everything. You really should just lawyer up and try to make things right, so at least you look better in the eyes of the law, because the law's coming, bro. If the people in the streets don't get you, Big Daddy Government Uncle Sam's coming for you, and he's gonna collect.
It's nothing to do with me. I mean, look at me. I'm good guy Logan. I'm scolding my team over here. That probably means I'm innocent, right? I'm being so mean to them. I'm confronting them on the phone. And I love how he tries to say that his, like, team is being investigated. Bro, you are also being investigated. You are this project. Your name was on it. You were promoting it. You definitely knew what was going on. And it's just so pathetic that it's even...
How many drugs do you guys think Logan had to do to get the holes in his brain, though? Or do you think he was born that way? I'm just curious. Like, do you think, like, he did, like, a lot of cocaine or something? Or some crazy drug, like crocodile or some crap? And, like, just got holes in his brain? Or do you think he was actually born this retarded?
Come to this, like, you couldn't just take accountability and pay back the CryptoZoo victims. You were bragging about making millions of dollars a day, and that's literally just how much you had to pay the CryptoZoo victims. I mean, let's not forget, this guy literally apologized and then did a complete 180. He decided that his ego was way too important, and he just didn't bother following through with any of his promises. Then we learned that Coffee's actually the one who whistleblew to the FBI and the SEC.
Okay. Well, there's no information that I'm not telling you.
But now we've learned that Logan Paul himself was and is currently being investigated for allegedly defrauding CryptoZoo investors. And what's more, we now learned the identity of the whistleblower. Who else but CoffeeZilla himself?
Bro,
What's up with the random cat? I guess it's her cat. She just didn't bother taking it out of there. I mean, you know, I don't mind it. The cat's fine. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Logan, it's not worth it, man. You really should just bow out while you've already passed the point, probably of no return. But, like, you could at least try and make things right and actually refund everybody and just get out of this situation. Like, there's still a possibility it could happen, man. Maybe the government will take it easy on you if they see that you actually gave the money back. Like, if you could document and prove that you did that. I don't want to give you, like, advice or anything, because I don't even like you. I actually think you're a walking scumbag. But that's probably the best case scenario for you, is if you actually paid everybody back, stopped suing the whistleblower who blew the whistle on you, Coffee or whatever, and you just moved on from this whole situation, just dealt with the federal portion of it in private, and stop publicizing. You know, this is all just going to become massive public drama. It's already doing it. I mean, if More Pegasus is making a video on you, I mean, he got almost like 800,000 views in a few days on this. This is very clearly going to be massive public drama, and you need to find a way out, dude. Nah, this is just not the way. It's not the way.
Coffee is actually such a legend for this, and this is kind of the reason you know that Coffee was genuine in his intentions when he was exposing Logan Paul, because he didn't just make a YouTube video about it trying to get some quick views. He actually reported him to the FBI and the SEC, and he was actually trying to get legitimate justice and not just some weird attempt at defaming him. So now we get a bit of the timeline here.
I'm going to give CoffeeZilla props for that, too, because a lot of people will just make the content on YouTube, collect a paycheck, and try to move on. But Coffee actually reporting this to the federal government, I got to give you mad respect for that, dude. You get a W for that, hardcore W.
Basically, Coffee wants to combine the case of Logan suing him and CryptoZoo investors suing Logan, because both of those cases hinge on the same facts, right? Whether or not Logan is actually a scammer. And essentially, Logan is just crying to the court like, oh, this FBI investigation is not that important, and Coffee is just trying to embarrass me in the public.
First, there's CoffeeZilla's motion to transfer, which is where he's asking the court to transfer this case from San Antonio to Austin so it can be litigated closer to the CryptoZoo class action case. Paul filed a motion to preserve confidentiality. That's the motion that told all of us that Logan Paul was panicking over this evidence getting out. In it, Paul pointed all kinds of fingers at CoffeeZilla, claiming that he included those sealed exhibits in his motion to transfer for no legitimate reason, and that he did it just to harm and embarrass Paul to the court.
Really? You think Coffee would risk his entire life and reputation just to embarrass Logan Paul? I mean, if he just wanted to humiliate and embarrass him, he would just talk about this publicly. The fact that we had to literally find this information out through some weird legal documents and a lawyer YouTuber covering the story means that he wasn't trying to humiliate Logan at all. And frankly, I don't think Coffee needs to embarrass Logan at all. This guy's reputation is already in the gutter. There's
Bro, Logan has embarrassed himself more times on the internet than I could count. I don't think anything Coffee could have said would have made Logan's already dirt bad reputation any worse. Like, dude was literally throwing Pokeballs at Priuses in Japan. Bro has done so much degenerate bullshit. There is nothing anybody could do to make this man look like more of a scumbag at this point. Literally nothing. Anybody that associates with him looks like a scumbag. For example, I follow a channel called Jesse Michaels. It's a UFO channel. Nothing to do with any of this shit. But Logan Paul, he wanted to open his mouth and try to get into the UFO space, right? So what he did, he claimed that he had this piece of footage. There's a whole backstory to it that he stole from this guy in the middle of fucking nowhere in the desert. And he filmed it on his phone without this dude's consent because the dude refused to sell him the footage of this UFO that was supposedly very close to the ground. And now Logan doesn't want to share the footage that he supposedly stole. And he wouldn't give it to James Fox and all this stuff. It was ridiculous. But to make a long story short, Logan claimed to have this footage. And somehow Jesse Michaels thought that this made Logan important enough to the UFO community in some way to bring him on to an interview he did with Jake Barber. Logan Paul added absolutely nothing to that interview. But the comments, bro. The comments on that interview were eating Jesse alive. People were unsubscribing and going haywire. Because they were like, oh my god, I can't believe you'd associate with this scumbag Logan Paul. I can't believe you'd bring someone like him on. What's wrong with you, Jesse? We thought you were better than this. And I know Jesse did it because he thought it would bring views. But my god, dude. That guy did not know what he was in for by bringing this guy on. And Logan had no right to be there. He added absolutely nothing to any of it. But, just wanted to point that out. Everywhere that he goes, no matter the space, people hate him. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if the niche is super far off from anything he associates with. People don't like this guy. And that's just how it's going to be, because he's ruined his reputation. He's so famous, everybody's heard of him. But not all press is good press. And all Logan gets is bad. Bad press. And how he still sells so many primes is beyond me, bro. It tastes like crap. Why are people drinking that shit? Can y'all please find something else to drink? Stop giving this dumbass your money, bro.
Not much more he could possibly do. He'd probably have to go to Japan and film another dead body. That would probably make people hate him more. So pretty dumb argument by Logan, in my opinion.
This, Paul says, was by all appearances a deliberate attempt to advance a false narrative to the federal government. Okay, right off the bat, deliberate false accusations to the government come with very serious penalties. So that is a very heavy accusation made by Paul here.
Yeah, apparently everybody is just after Logan Paul. Nobody wants to do legitimate critique. The world revolves around Logan Paul. Everybody's just trying to embarrass him. Dude, get over yourself. You're not that important. And the thing is, he's not even important to Coffee, because apparently Coffee does this stuff all the time. He whistleblows a lot of people to these organizations, and some of them actually end up getting arrested as well. So he's basically the local janitor, just taking the trash out and giving pieces of shit like Logan what they deserve. And don't get me wrong, it takes a long...
I'm going to call this right now. Logan's going to go to jail. The SEC and FBI are going to come down on him just like they did to Jordan Belfort. And he's going to end up in a white-collar prison. Probably. He's probably going to end up in... At the very least, he will end up in prison. Whether it be white-collar or not, I don't know. But he will end up in prison for this. Because this is fraud. Dude's going to get locked up. End of story. It's going to happen. Just because he's rich doesn't mean he'll get out of this. Jordan Belfort had like $100 million to his name to work with, which translates to a lot more money today, because I was in like the 90s or some shit. Or the 80s. I don't remember. But he didn't get out of it. He went to prison. Logan's fucked, dude. He's going to prison. It's over. It's Jover, bro. It's Jover. He's going, right? It's happening. So, that's why the title of this video is going to be Logan Paul is going to prison now. Or something of the sort, because I'm fairly positive that he's not getting around the federal investigations. He's gonna get locked up.
Long while, but eventually karma does find its way. Now this next part, Logan's lawyers deliver possibly the worst argument ever.
The reason that Findeisen misled the government so brazenly, of course, was that his goal was to prompt the government to investigate and build cases against plaintiffs specifically, whom he had never even spoken to about the project, in order to further harm plaintiff and, he hoped, ultimately claim credit and raise his own profile in the event the investigations resulted in criminal charges or civil penalties against him. And basically what he's getting at is Paul claims that CoffeeZilla didn't give the government any information about any other bad actors on the CryptoZoo team, like Eddie Ibanez and Jake Greenbaum. And he says that because of that, CoffeeZilla was sending the government down this rabbit hole to focus specifically on Logan Paul and to ignore everyone else on the CryptoZoo team.
So real quick, just going over this part again, in order to further harm plaintiff, and he hoped that ultimately he'll claim credit and raise his own profile in the event the investigations resulted in criminal charges or civil penalties against him. So this clown is actually saying that CoffeeZilla reported Logan to the government because he wanted to raise his own profile if Logan was found guilty and got criminal charges or civil penalties.
Wait, but wouldn't he have to be found guilty to raise his own profile? Wouldn't that imply that Logan is guilty? I mean, he is. We know that. But, like, at least I'm fairly certain he'll be found guilty, in my opinion. But I'm fairly positive that to make this argument, he is basically admitting that he's guilty. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments if you think I'm ridiculous for that take.
So Logan's lawyers are basically admitting, like, okay, maybe Logan might be guilty.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm right. All right. At least Pegasus seems to think so. Okay, I guess I called it then. All right, I'm not crazy then.
But Coffee only did this to raise his own reputation and not actually catch Logan in a crime. So there's...
Bro, people go to bounty hunt criminals because they want the money and to raise their own reputation for catching the criminal. Not because they care about the crime. How is this different? Explain, even if that was the case, how is this different? And how do you prove something like that? How do you prove that you knew what Coffee was thinking when he did all of this? Because you can't. God, this is the worst legal defense I've ever heard in my life.
They're saying Coffee is not exactly wrong, but his intentions were wrong, apparently. Bro, that is the worst argument I've ever seen. Who is this guy's lawyer? My God. Put that meme, "This is my lawyer, I'm cooked, boys." This is embarrassing. You're literally throwing your own client under the bus. Now, the person who made this video, Legal Bites, is a lawyer too, right? And she talks about how she didn't even make this video for a long time because she wanted to make sure she got Logan's argument properly, because Logan's side was so stupid that it literally did not make any sense and she was so confused.
I may or may not have been sitting on this video a little bit longer than I should have rather than moving forward to publish it, in part because I've been trying to wrap my mind around this argument. Throughout my career as a litigator, I have often found myself in moments of pause when reading someone else's legal arguments that don't quite click for me. And the dilemma always is, am I just not understanding the other side's argument? Am I maybe clouded by something like bias maybe that's keeping me from seeing the other side clearly? Or does this argument just really suck that bad? But anyway, all of that is to say, I think I've landed in the place that this argument by Logan Paul, where he says that CoffeeZilla misled the government and essentially did it for clicks and to claim credit in the event the investigations resulted in criminal charges, is just a really bad argument.
Bro, how do you have all that money? We just spent all this time talking about Logan supposedly a billionaire. How do you have all that money and you still can't get a good legal team to come up with a good argument, bro? You need some Jews, bro. Get a better legal team. I got a cousin. Maybe he'll be interested. Actually, no, he wouldn't work for you. He doesn't work for scumbags. But, yeah, I'm not going to give you my Jewish lawyer cousins. But, in all honesty, really, bro, is this really the best you could come up with? I mean, if I was you, I'd fire my attorneys, dude. Or just admit you're cooked.
I'm sorry, but to me, it just does not make sense. Setting aside the fact that CoffeeZilla showed in response that he did, in fact, provide a bunch of information to the FBI about the entire CryptoZoo team, and that this included information about Jake Greenbaum and Eddie Ibanez, even if he didn't send that information to those guys, why would the government not look into the activities of the entire team if they suspected that even just one member of the team had maybe defrauded investors?
Logan hired his lawyers off Temu, bro. Dude, can you imagine that your lawyer's argument sounds so incredibly stupid that other lawyers look at it and don't even believe it's real because it just sounds that dumb?
Bro, Mr. Moneybags out here fucking buying the cheapest lawyer on the market, bro. Doesn't even think he needs good legal defense for this. That's probably why he did this, though. He said he was just trying to make Logan Paul's life, or not Logan Paul's, he was trying to make CoffeeZilla's life harder. So I guess you don't really need an expensive lawyer to accomplish that. He's just trying to make CoffeeZilla spend money in court against Logan. So it makes sense in a way, but also not really. I mean, I guess he never had any real intention of actually winning this lawsuit. So I guess that's probably the reasoning here. But at the same time, this is just going to get tossed out on its face. This is so freaking stupid. Oh my God.
Also, the other argument is even more funny. Basically, Logan was saying that Coffee only reported him to the FBI and not his team so that they would only charge Logan with a crime. First off, that is completely brain dead. We literally just saw proof that Coffee reported the other people as well. And hypothetically, even if he only reported Logan, of course they would be investigating the whole project and every member of the team that was involved, right? Just because you only have information on one person doesn't mean you're trying to exonerate the rest of his team. But
I kind of wonder what Logan today would look like if you just shaved all the hair off his face. I feel like he would look like a thumb.
I just love how their defense is, no, not I didn't commit the crime. It's Coffee is reporting me for the wrong reasons, and he just wants to get social media likes and not actually put me in prison. How pathetic can you actually be, bro? Now, after this, she talks about how Logan is screwed either way because his argument just doesn't make sense. Because the only way Coffee would be able to raise his reputation by reporting Logan to the FBI was if Logan actually was a criminal and there was merit to his case.
That's what I just said. I just said that. Logan has to be guilty for this argument to work. So he has to be found guilty in federal court on a crime to win this lawsuit where he wouldn't be able to collect, because the whole point of his argument would be that he has to go to prison, basically, because this is a massive amount of money we're talking about. I don't think he understands how big this amount of money is to, like, the normal people in the world. Or even the United States or whatever. I mean, this is like millions of dollars we're talking about here. To him, maybe it's nothing. To everybody else, that's a lot, and you're going to get in big shit for that, regardless of how rich you are. But he wouldn't be able to actually collect any of this money if he did win against CoffeeZilla with this shitty argument, because he would be in prison. Make it make sense. This is so fucking stupid.
So basically, if Coffee reported Logan to the FBI and nothing actually came out of it, and Logan is completely innocent, then Coffee's reputation would actually go down for having a false flag, for basically getting the story wrong, right? His reputation would lower. So the only way to actually raise his reputation is being right about Logan.
If CoffeeZilla misled the government when he presented a whistleblower claim about CryptoZoo, how would that result in criminal charges? In order to get to the stage of criminal charges or civil penalties that he supposedly wants to be thanked for, according to this argument, there has to be enough legitimacy in CoffeeZilla's whistleblower complaint to get to that result. And that would mean that whatever was in CoffeeZilla's whistleblower complaint was not misleading the government. And importantly, to the defamation claims ultimately in question here in this case, that would also mean that CoffeeZilla reasonably believed that Logan Paul and the others defrauded the public or defrauded their investors with CryptoZoo. To put it another way, for CoffeeZilla to receive accolades from the public over Logan Paul getting charged, there has to be fire to all that smoke. So how does that make sense for CoffeeZilla to think, I'm going to mislead the SEC and the FBI into investigating Logan Paul specifically, and then when they do find enough to charge him with federal crimes, I'll accept the congratulations for it.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense, bro, because so put it this way, if Logan is not found guilty in federal court, he would lose in this argument against CoffeeZilla. However, if he is found guilty, then he wins. Which, that's if the judge or whoever, jury, whatever, would accept an argument like this. They probably wouldn't, because it's absurd on its face. But this is what they're doing. They're just playing games trying to get Coffee to spend money on this. There's no intention of winning here. This is literally just legal warfare between Coffee and Logan, because Logan is petty, just like he said. I studied enough law to know when a lawsuit is being done for frivolous means and when a lawsuit is being done for, very obvious actual attempts at winning. And this is definitely just a frivolous lawsuit to make CoffeeZilla have to spend a ton of money on something that there's no basis to. If anything, this probably won't make it far. If I were the judge, I would toss this out on its face.
You gotta do some crazy mental gymnastics to come to this conclusion. Apparently, Coffee is just 5,000 IQ here, and he's apparently falsely reporting Logan to the FBI and the SEC, which could definitely be a crime of some sort. He's apparently specifically doing this so that they can find no wrongdoing, and that is somehow going to make CoffeeZilla more popular for getting the story wrong in public. Literally makes negative sense. Logan trying to find any...
No, Pegasus. His argument is basically that they have to find wrongdoing to get for Logan to win this lawsuit. They have to. Because if they find no wrongdoing, Logan doesn't win. They would have to find Logan did something wrong. Because otherwise, as was mentioned earlier, Coffee's reputation does not get bolstered. Because it just looks like he gave a false complaint to the SEC and FBI, which can actually get him in trouble. That doesn't help him. So the only way Logan's argument actually works is if Logan is found guilty in a court of law. So Logan himself and his lawyers know that he did something wrong, and they think that he is going to go to jail or prison. And he's probably right. Dude's probably going to prison.
Any way to squirm out of this is just hilarious. Bro, just put the fries in the bag. You're so completely cooked. Now she talks about how Coffee actually reports a lot of these people to these organizations like the FBI and the SEC, and Logan isn't special. He isn't the only one that got reported.
It's public record that CoffeeZilla has been a whistleblower before and continues to be a whistleblower in other cases after CryptoZoo. Specifically, it's common knowledge that he had a strong hand in blowing open the lid about the...
Is that Shaggy? What am I looking at here? Is that Shaggy sneaking up on a Bitcoin? Or is that supposed to be Sam Bankman-Fried? Oh, it says at the top. Okay, yeah. I don't know. It's a weird picture for this article. Anyway, yeah.
The FTX fraud. And that's a big reason why Sam Bankman-Fried was convicted of a number of federal offenses.
No, actually, that didn't happen. Coffee was just trying to get more subscribers on YouTube, of course. He just wanted my clout, of course. His master plan was actually to put Logan in prison so that he could get a free lifetime supply of Lunchly and Prime. Dude.
I mean, let's be real. Okay, first of all, nobody wants the free lifetime supply of Lunchly and Prime. Nobody actually wants that. But let's be real. Anybody who makes videos on YouTube is doing it to gain more subscribers and money. There's definitely a degree of truth to that. But at the same time, if he's filing complaints outside of YouTube and like he's actually following up in court, then no, CoffeeZilla is not purely doing it for that. He actually wants to see these people get locked up for their crimes, which is very commendable. And whether or not he makes some money out of that should be irrelevant. And I really don't care. I think he's doing the right thing. And if he makes a profit in the process, because dude has to make money for his time and efforts, like, people seem to forget that when you're doing this type of thing, you have to make money to be able to continue to do these sorts of things. Like, if I'm not making any money doing YouTube, for example, then in the future, if it doesn't pan out, I'm not going to continue doing YouTube because there's no point. I mean, other than, like, maybe as, like, a fun hobby, but, like, I'm not going to make a consistent thing out of it, you know? Because at that point, it's like, well, why am I doing this? You know, I'm putting in time and effort into something, and I'm not getting paid. You know, your time has value. And that's a thing that a lot of people don't really think about. Like, when you're working for a job, your employer is paying you for your time, as well as your skills and abilities. Your time intrinsically has value. And in a way, what you're willing to sell your time for is what you're willing, you know, that's kind of how valuable your time is. That's how much you value your own time. So, to be doing something like this, because YouTube is not as easy as everybody thinks. This isn't like, you know, oh, I just sit down in front of a camera and I just run my mouth for, like, you know, 40 minutes or whatever and post a video and get millions of dollars. It doesn't work that way. I know there's a lot of kids out there that think it does. It just doesn't. You actually have to put together good content. You have to be genuine with your content and make sure it's, you know, decently edited well or whatever, put together and all that stuff. Or people don't want to watch your crap, you know? I mean, there's some genres where you can get away with less of that than you otherwise would, but, like, in Coffee's case, he deserves every penny he makes from this because he's putting terrible people behind bars. He's doing a service to the general public. And on top of that, he's also making good content for people to consume on top of it, which is where he recoups most of his time. And I think that every dollar he's made is totally deserved. And it has every right to monetize it, in my opinion, because he's not doing anything other than having a positive impact on the general public. And that's admirable, in my opinion.
Of course, Logan would think everything is about views. He operates his entire life based on views. Keep in mind, this is the same guy who promoted Lunchly at the birth of his child. You can't even make this shit up. Bro is just a sociopath. Now, this next part is absolutely brutal. Coffee actually attached evidence of the SEC thanking him for his comprehensive reports on these people that actually led to multiple arrests, right? So he's friendly with the SEC and probably the FBI too, bro. Coffee is doing God's work here.
And as CoffeeZilla said in a footnote in his response that made me chuckle, to be honest, Logan Paul isn't special to CoffeeZilla. In fact, he says CoffeeZilla has routinely provided whistleblower reports to the FBI and SEC in the hopes of stopping cryptocurrency scams. While not publicized, CoffeeZilla's reports have led to multiple arrests and guilty pleas. And then he attaches some exhibits showing some of his prior correspondence with someone at the SEC who told him that his reports and some other unrelated matter that he had sent them were found to be very helpful and well done. And
See, this is something that I feel like Logan Paul doesn't understand about other people that do YouTube. A lot of us don't just do YouTube to make money, though. Like, don't get me wrong. We do YouTube because people want to make money. Like, that's a big part of it. But an even bigger part of YouTube, and something that Logan doesn't seem to get because he had that Disney Channel flow upbringing bullshit so that he could succeed at life way easier than everybody else. What he doesn't seem to get is that a lot of people actually have a passion behind the thing that they're doing on YouTube. Something that fuels them beyond the money, that makes them actually want to do the thing that they're doing. And Logan just doesn't understand that. He thinks it's all about views and dollars. And in a way, that is a part of it. But that's not the whole story for most people. The fact that Coffee is reporting you behind the scenes without publicly taking credit and gloating that he reported you is proof enough that he's not doing this to boost his reputation, but he's doing this because he gives a shit. And he wants to help the people that were scammed. And that's really, if any of you are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, that's something you need to think about when you're starting a YouTube channel. Do I feel passionate enough about what I'm doing to truly make this into a career? And are people really going to enjoy it and feel my passion for the subject I'm talking about? For me, I personally like to talk shit on retards. That's my passion. So that's what we're doing today. We're talking shit on an actual retard with holes in his brain. And a scammer. So that's why we're doing this. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I like to call out stupidity when I see it. I like common sense. In this case, Logan's just an asshole. And he has no idea why people would do things that don't revolve around dollars. Well, Logan, this is directed at you, not the audience. This is directed at Logan Paul. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to take away my attention and aim it at him for just a second. Sometimes in life, people care about things that aren't money related. You do need money to live. But I don't need money to jerk off. I don't need money to bang my wife. I don't need money to go out here and paint a pretty painting because I like the painting. I don't need money. I mean, I guess other than for the supplies, but if I already have them, like, it's not going to cost me anything or my time or whatever. Like, so I don't need money to go and do a good deed for somebody in the streets. I don't need money to go and help an old woman cross the road, you know? That's why Coffee is doing what he's doing. Because there are things in life that are free, like air. That's free. And I love to breathe air as much as possible. Because it's free and I'm Jewish. Anyway, moving on.
And his report to them on the CryptoZoo matter appears to be from the same mold.
So here we got the message from the government official. Thank you for the information collected and synthesized in your report. Procedurally, all tips submitted are reviewed by the office based on a number of factors. If the subjects or conduct relate to an ongoing investigation, the information will be forwarded to the relevant case team. I can't guarantee that will be us in this instance. Personally, I found your reports in the other matter very helpful and well done, and this appears to be from the same mold. So I just wanted to say we appreciate it. Happy to chat anytime.
Bro, the SEC is like, thank you, Coffee. You helped us tremendously. You've helped us before. This is not the first time you've helped us. We appreciate it. And, yeah, we're gonna look into this. And Logan's like, he's just furthering his reputation. You know, he's doing this for clout. Nah, bro. He's doing this because you're retarded.
Logan is gonna lose his mind after seeing this.
And because you're a scammer.
It's like, oh my god, the guys about to prosecute me are friendly with Coffee, bro. And just so you know, this is relevant to CryptoZoo. We have this other segment here. Just wanted to let you know, guys, I submitted a detailed report on Logan's involvement with CryptoZoo. We got the TLDR, the cryptocurrency, NFTs, 23 million YouTube subscribers. We got all of it. The game which sold millions does not work.
Can you imagine anything worse?
That's crazy. Does Logan even post to YouTube anymore? I know he used to, but whatever. Like, he's had like 20 million subscribers for a long time. He hasn't moved. But does he even still post? Like, I haven't looked his channel up in forever. Can somebody tell me in the comments if he still posts? Because I don't want to look his channel up. Because if I look his channel up, it's going to end up in my algorithm. And I do not want his videos popping up on my feed. But if one of you brave souls wants to go ahead and look up Logan Paul's channel for me. And tell me when the last time he posted a video was. And if he's been consistently posting in the past, like, year or two. I would greatly appreciate it. But I'm not willing to do that myself. Because fuck Logan. I'm not going to give him channel page views.
To Logan Paul, who does appear low-key obsessed with CoffeeZilla, that CoffeeZilla doesn't even consider him to be unique in all of this. Like, in the midst of all of this high-stakes litigation, which has the capacity to ruin CoffeeZilla financially, like, this is legitimately a serious matter and, you know, not fun for CoffeeZilla, obviously. But in the midst of all of that, CoffeeZilla is able to still underhandedly just, like, insult Paul in this way. And the fact that this kind of insult is delivered through a footnote just emphasizes the point that it's not even worth saying in the body of the pleading. Logan Paul just isn't special enough to dedicate that kind of real estate.
That is diabolical. Using a footnote to subtly shit on Logan Paul in a legal setting. Logan just popped a blood vessel reading that. Bro needs to film himself in Japan after this absolute destruction.
Oh
now, lucky for Logan,
Bro's probably go film himself in a forest. Looking at the nice trees. Obviously. In Japan, very nice trees. That's all. Just film the trees. You don't have to film anything else, you know. In all reality, though, Logan, yeah, he ain't worth the space, apparently. I don't think this guy, realizes how cooked he is. Not gonna lie. Actually, I don't even think the FBI or SEC would let him leave the country, probably, at this point, if he's subject to an investigation. They may have already put him on, like, as a flight risk, in all seriousness. I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but, I have a hard time believing he's not gonna get locked up after all this. Also, I was not implying that he should do anything to himself by going to the forest. Don't misconstrue what I said. I said he should go film trees. But he should look in the mirror and tell himself that he's a piece of shit, because he is.
one of the organizations did actually close their investigation. It seems the SEC had this investigation deposed, and this was probably due to them simply handing off the investigation to the FBI. And there was a bunch of events going on, like a recent change in the government as well, where different organizations were given different priorities. So don't get it twisted, the FBI investigation is still ongoing, but Logan is taking any opportunity to take a dub here.
The SEC closed out its investigation, which he argues means they found no wrongdoing, and he says that all other federal investigation is basically dormant and has gone nowhere, which he says means basically the same thing, no wrongdoing. But CoffeeZilla happily goes into detail about what happened with these investigations. And
bro, it's not dormant. We literally just switched administrations, like Pegasus just said. It'll come back. Trust me, the government will come back on this with you. Like, they'll circle back with you. Jen Psaki, she'll be... Actually, nah, she won't be. But yeah, they'll circle back. It'll come for you. Don't worry. Uncle Sam will be at your door one day. Sooner than later, probably, Logan. Don't worry about that one, buddy. FBI will be showing up and be like, FBI, open up! And they're going to bust your door down and find your lolly waifu body pillow and your jar with a My Little Pony in it full of white stuff. Don't worry. They'll find you. And all your little eggs that you kept in the closet. Those little crypto zoo eggs that you were stashing up that you were supposed to give out or whatever the hell you were supposed to do with them. They're going to find them. And they're going to use those to convert into all of your money. And probably maybe give it back to the victims. Or just give it to the government. Who knows? Either way, you're going to jail. Sucks to be you, loser. Oh, shit. What the hell? What is this popping up on my screen? Go away. I want to leave. What is this? Ah. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I'm technologically challenged.
And obviously has a different take on it. CoffeeZilla submits supplemental information to the SEC and FBI to include a more thorough analysis. And on the same day, Logan Paul receives a subpoena to testify regarding CryptoZoo before a grand jury. And not only that, but the Central District of California issued an amended search warrant for all of Paul's electronic devices for evidence of securities fraud wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy related to CryptoZoo. And it goes on. Then on March 7th, the SEC subpoenaed Paul for information related to CryptoZoo and other alleged crypto scams Paul has been involved with, including Dink Doink. Then on June 10th, 2024, Paul was deposed in the SEC investigation. Specifically, the SEC decides to scale back its crypto enforcement action and issues closing letters to Logan Paul and many others.
Hold up, so you're telling me this man's got warrants written after him, the SEC's deposing him, and he's sitting here acting like ain't nothing gonna happen to me, I'm in the right, even though the investigations have been closed? How retarded could you possibly be, bro? How dumb could you be? Maybe you should, like, you know, stop doing whatever drugs you're doing for 5 minutes, Logan, and come back to reality and realize how much fucking trouble you're actually in, dude. Because you should really not be so focused on suing Coffee, and you should really be focused on covering your own ass, because you are fucked, bro. And it's gonna be bad when you go to prison and you get bent over for this.
The Justice Department is no longer pursuing some crypto cases that they say are better left to other agencies. And apparently, the SEC has actually dropped more than a dozen cases against crypto firms since the change in policy. However, CoffeeZilla says the FBI investigation remains, and he says they continue to express interest in Paul as recently as early 2025. And he says, as far as he knows, this investigation is ongoing.
Yeah, so basically Logan is still being investigated by the FBI. He caught a lucky break with the SEC and immediately said, oh, this means I'm innocent, guys. Even though his own lawyers are basically just admitting he's guilty. I honestly do wish these cases would be handled quicker and wouldn't take literal years to resolve. But unfortunately, that's kind of just how the legal system works. You have to be very thorough to make sure only the guilty people get charged, right? And oftentimes they take a very long time to investigate and then just sort of hit you with all of the charges at once.
Yeah, like, the legal system does not move fast. Like, I don't think Logan realizes, but sometimes it does take, like, years before you actually get thrown in prison. Like, they do a very thorough investigation. You're talking a federal investigation. You know those guys have, like, a 98 or 99% or something like that conviction rate? Some really absurd number. Like, if they're investigating you, there is a very, very, very high likelihood you are gonna get locked up, bro. I don't think he understands just, like, how bad this actually is. Apparently he thinks this is all a joke still, I guess. I mean, I don't know the guy personally to know how he's behaving about this, but if I were him, I would not be able to sleep at night knowing that this was lurking over my shoulder every night when I go to bed, and knowing that there's a good possibility that I won't be going to bed some night in the future in my mega mansion, but rather I'd be going to bed in a prison cell next to some guy who keeps looking at me funny, like he wants my booty. And whenever I go to lunch, some guy, this big guy, he goes up to me and says, give me your cocktail, fruit! And then you have to get defended by Squirrel Ninja, Tommy Chong up in this bitch. And you have to become Tommy Chong's bitch to protect yourself from the fruit man who wants your fruit, who keeps calling you a fish. You don't know why he's calling you a fish. You tell him you're a man, I have legs, but you're just a fish to him. Anyway, yeah, you're gonna need Squirrel Master to defend your ass.
So Logan is definitely not in the clear in any capacity. In fact, Logan is actually stuck between a rock and a hard place. This next part, she talks about how Logan can't even testify in his own defamation case here because his own words would probably implicate him in the FBI investigation. So bro is just cooked either way.
Wait. I think I just figured out Logan's master plan. Logan is probably banking that Trump will pardon him over this. That's probably his master plan. That's why he let him come on his podcast. He brought Trump onto the podcast to be able to say to Trump, I helped you get elected. Which it probably didn't make that much of a difference, let's be real. But he brought him on impulsive so that he could tell Trump later on when he's going to prison for federal charges for wire fraud and money fraud, all that, the crypto fraud, whatever, all of that good stuff, securities fraud, whatever, so that he could cry to Trump and be like, Daddy Trump, I need you to bail me out, please. I need you to use your pen to sign me as, you know, forgiven for my crimes. I need you to please Give me a pardon. And Trump's gonna look at him and say, I didn't know at the time you were such a bad guy, Logan. I can't believe I ever came on your show. No, no, no. I will not be signing your pardon, Logan. That's not gonna happen. No. Instead, I'm gonna have Cash Patel. He's gonna go and investigate you so deeply, you're gonna be locked up forever. And then we might even drop a big Moab on the prison. I don't know. Could be huge, the explosion. I'm joking, we're not gonna do that. But the wiener might find your butt. And that might be a problem when you're in prison, Logan. Don't drop the soap. You know, I was reopening Alcatraz. And when I did that, they told me, Mr. Trump, Alcatraz is so great. It's a beautiful prison. I can't believe what you've done with the place. And I'm going to send Logan there. I didn't say that. They said that. Anyway, back to this.
Because he is the plaintiff, he's the one that brought this case, Logan Paul kind of has to testify in the defamation trial against CoffeeZilla if he's going to be successful. And if the plaintiff doesn't testify at trial, that creates a massive uphill battle for him. And when you look at the scope of what Logan Paul would have to testify about, it absolutely the question of whether he actually defrauded CryptoZoo investors is going to come up. But
I want to point something out for those of you who may be wondering and might not understand civil versus criminal law. In civil law for something like this, like what she said, the plaintiff should testify and undergo deposition and everything else in order to make their case a little better. Obviously, the lawyer does most of it, but like you still would have to give your side of the story here. Different than criminal law, where if you are defending yourself as a criminal defendant, you basically never want to take the stand. It's almost never good for you. Not counting Kyle Rittenhouse. He was a totally different scenario. He did a great job. He's a great example of what a defendant should do if they are on the stand. But that is the difference here, is that in criminal law, if you are a defendant, it is bad to do so. It's not even really great for the plaintiff to do anything criminal, but generally the state is the plaintiff. You have a prosecutor doing that sort of thing. Logan will find that out when he goes to trial. But if he's not willing to testify in this civil case, with what he's alleging, which is obviously complete nonsensical bullshit. If he's not willing to do that, he's not winning this. He's screwed. Like, there's no chance in hell that he's ever gonna win. And I think that when he finally does get thrown in prison, it'll be huge. It'll be fantastic. We'll take Logan and we'll remove him from prison after his sentence, and we'll throw him back in prison every 4 years every time I become president. It's gonna be glorious.
if he does decide to testify in the defamation case, that is a massive risk, because he's opening himself up to questioning that directly implicates potential criminal liability against him. Massive risk. Any lawyer looking at the situation would be waving all the red flags and being like, don't do it. Even if he thinks that he did nothing wrong, there's always a chance that he says something that says otherwise to the feds. And on the other hand, if he does invoke his Fifth Amendment rights and he refuses to testify, he protects himself somewhat on the potential federal criminal case front. But like I said before, he makes it that much harder to actually win this civil case.
So basically, Logan is either going to lose the case against CoffeeZilla, or he's going to try to defend himself by testifying and then implicate himself to the feds. Just lovely. Absolutely lovely. Bro's being cooked on both sides like a well-done hamburger.
Yeah, that's the other thing here. He can't testify here without cooking himself. It's kind of wild to think about. Also, hamburger sounds kind of good. Maybe I want one of those when this is over with. Yeah, no, all seriousness, though, he really is cooked, bro. There's, like, not much left here to do. I mean, I would have shown a picture of ramen noodles here, to be honest. But, he's done, bro. He's done. He's overcooked. I mean, he's at the point where the ramen noodles have gotten all sopped up. Like, they've sopped up all the broth and they've gotten soggy. That's where Logan's at right now. He's like, fuck, dude. Nobody even wants to eat that either. Like, that's nasty, bro. You're just screwed, man.
Bro can't even defend himself in court without the FBI sniffing up his cheeks. But it doesn't end there. He's even more screwed, because if Logan chooses to not testify to avoid saying something that would implicate him to the feds, he's screwed even more, because that means he's afraid of getting caught, which is obviously a point in favor of Coffee, because that means even Coffee would have reasonably thought that Logan did something wrong.
He also wins if he can show to the jury that at the time that he made these...
Bro, the federal prison should print this picture of CoffeeZilla out frame it behind some bulletproof glass and put it in fucking Logan Paul's prison cell when they lock him up. Make it so he can't take it down. Just put it up there right where he has to look every time he goes in his cell, and make him stare at this picture of CoffeeZilla just literally just glaring into Logan's soul. That would be a great punishment.
Allegedly defamatory statements, CoffeeZilla reasonably believed that Logan Paul had actually defrauded the CryptoZoo investors. And if you think about it, if Logan Paul invokes the Fifth Amendment, he is saying that he has a reasonable concern that his statements could incriminate him when talking about the CryptoZoo project. And that actually kind of means even Logan Paul is feeling like there's a shadow of possibility that he could get convicted of fraud. Which means the jury might look at that and say, so if Logan Paul sees a possibility that he could get convicted of fraud, it's reasonable for CoffeeZilla to have thought the same thing. And that would get in the way of Logan Paul being able to prove to the jury that CoffeeZilla made these alleged statements with actual malice. And actual malice is an essential element that Logan Paul has to prove in order to win this case. And so that would mean Logan Paul loses the defamation case.
And it was this next part she talks about how Logan might have only sued Coffee because Coffee reported him to the FBI, and he was really mad about that. Because if you remember, he actually took an entire year to sue him.
And remember, Paul waited well over...
This is exactly what I said he did. He did this to be petty. He doesn't care about winning. He's just trying to make Coffee's life hard. That's all this is. I mean, honestly, if there's a way to help Coffee get through this lawsuit pretty much unscathed, I think that it would be a good idea that Coffee allows his viewers to somehow help him with this. Because this is a really bogus lawsuit. I don't know if he maybe already has, but this is a really stupid lawsuit. And I think it's ridiculous that Logan is this much of a petty little woman that he is suing because Coffee reported him for committing a massive crime. I'm surprised nobody else reported him first, though. Not gonna lie, I'm surprised that the people that he defrauded didn't report him. I figured that would have been the first people to do this. The fact that it took an influencer like Coffee to do it is crazy. We need to start taking the words of victims more seriously in this type of situation. We need to start taking people that were scammed out of their money through crypto, and we need to start legitimately listening when there's a lot of people claiming that they were scammed. Because this type of rug pull crap should not be allowed. If you can't do a penny stock pump and dump, you shouldn't be able to do a crypto stock pump and dump or crypto whatever pump and dump. That's basically all this was a pump and dump.
over a year after CoffeeZilla came out with his 3-part series before suing him for defamation. He waited long enough that the statute of limitations already passed to be able to sue over those original videos. So he had to find other follow-up statements CoffeeZilla...
He didn't sue over those original videos because he knows that those original videos show too much evidence and he would have immediately lost in court because those videos are very solid videos and he's very much got a lot of people in there that he was partnered with that implicate the hell out of him. And that's why he didn't sue over those videos. It's not because he waited too long and was being lazy. It's because he knew he would lose.
Made to sue him over those statements instead. It can definitely make that look like Logan Paul wasn't planning to sue CoffeeZilla until he found out that he was a whistleblower and decided to retaliate against him for blowing that whistle.
Right, that makes a lot more sense because apparently we thought that Logan was so mad at Coffee because he exposed him and destroyed his reputation online. But this adds a new element that Logan was really pissy because he literally outed him to the feds. Definitely seems like something a petty billionaire would do, sue the guy who snitched on him. So here's what people are saying. It's a very hard sell to claim that suing the whistleblower in the criminal investigation of you isn't retaliation. Okay, if anything, this makes CoffeeZilla look way more badass than he shows himself. Like, he's doing some epic shit behind the scenes. This is brave as hell. The whole phone call about Logan Paul trying to find out what the guy did with the money was all fake. Of course, if you're trying to hide the fact that you maybe have defrauded people in some way, you're not gonna just call your business partner and be like, hey, just act.
Bro, it's obvious that this was a fake phone call. Like, come on, this is so clearly freaking staged. Also, yeah, it does look like this is retaliation because that's exactly what this is. I mean, anybody with half a brain can look at this and tell this was retaliation over him reporting Logan to the SEC. Coffee, I mean, reporting Logan to the SEC and FBI. That's exactly what this is retaliation, and there's no other way to frame it. And Logan is not going to get anywhere with this, and he knows it.
Act like I'm confronting you and you're really sorry about this whole thing. I didn't realize CoffeeZilla himself was the whistleblower. I'm genuinely scared for him, honestly. Yeah, you gotta keep an eye out for the
Yeah,
Logan Paul hitman. Now
hitman.
click this video so the FBI finally taps Logan in the ass. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Logan.
Oh, okay, guys. So that was more Pegasus. Logan, he's screwed. And yeah, I think he's right. Coffee. If you see anybody with a barcode on the back of their neck, don't go near him. Get away. Get as far away as possible. You want nothing to do with that guy. If you see anybody who may be dressed up like a ninja, stay away from him. And if you see anybody with a broccoli cut, I would definitely stay away from them, because they're probably with Logan. Or, I guess in this case, a ramen noodle cut. But yeah, this is wild. Logan is definitely 1,000% going to jail. It's going to happen. Bro is mad screwed. I don't think that, well, in the very near future, it might take a little while, but in the near future, I do think that we could expect Logan Paul to end up behind bars, and then there won't be any more great content to make out of him, which in a way is sad, because then all we have is Jake Paul, and he's a little less controversial. I mean, sure, there's some things you could go after in that type of content, you know, people don't like him, but at the same time, Logan is really the more crazy one, where you can actually get good content out of him. And he's constantly finding himself in shit. I mean, like I said, there's a reason that he's got those holes in his brain. Well, I guess I don't know what the reason is, but there is a reason that he keeps fucking up. It's because he's got the holes in his brain. And I think that when the Logan Paul is in jail video drops, it's going to be a very nice and glorious day for me, personally. I'm going to enjoy making that video. And you can be damn sure that I will be making it. If you enjoyed this and you want to stick around for when Logan Paul finally goes to prison, please do hit that subscribe button and notification bell and that like button, just like I'm about to do on more Pegasus's video, so that we can stay tuned with all the retards getting their comeuppance and Logan Paul going to prison. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Bye!